Good evening, everyone. Oh, come on. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. That's better. My name is Naomi Sig. I serve as the Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. So to students, faculty, members of our administration, prospective students, family members, and community members, on behalf of the Office of Multicultural Affairs, I'd like to welcome you to the 25th Annual Unity Banquet and Scholarship Benefit. So are you ready to celebrate? Yes. All right, let's do it. So this event, as I just said, is a very special one for our community, and I'm really thrilled to see all your faces here. We're seeing people from our Cleveland community, we're seeing prospective students and their families, we're seeing our students, our faculty and our staff and administrators, people who are here on our campus every day, and that's what the spirit of this event is about. So I'm so excited to have you all here. And we are going to have a really special presentation in just a few moments, so I'm going to be pretty brief. But before I do that, I really want to make sure that we take a moment to thank all of the people who make it possible for us to have the Unity Banquet. And it's not possible without the support of all of our community and corporate sponsors. So I'd like to thank each of you for your generosity and for your commitment to our community and to our students. So let's give them a round of applause. I also want to say thank you to our students. You are the reason why we are here. You add to the richness of our diverse community, whether it's through your academic studies, your scholarship, your leadership endeavors, your co-curricular experiences, and you've all made our campus a better place, and we are thankful for that. This is your night. We're honoring you. We are celebrating you and your achievements and accomplishments. To seniors, we are celebrating you as you go on, and though you are not here, you're still our family, so we expect to hear from you. Just letting you know. And as many of you know, we give out scholarships here, right? All right. So we are going to be doing that soon. And you know, some of you might be wondering, hey, what happens with those scholarships? Because we present them each year, but you may not know where the scholarships go, how the students use them, or even just knowing what the student stories are. So we're going to actually be doing something different and something special tonight, and we're thrilled to be able to announce that we have a presentation, a video that we're going to be sharing with you all so that you can hear the stories of these students. And after that, Dr. Marilyn Sanders Mobley, our Vice President of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equal Opportunity, will come up here, do the invocation, and introduce our special musical guests so you all can eat. Sound good? Yeah. All right, cue the video. This year is our 25th anniversary of the Unity Banquet and Scholarship Benefit. Unity Banquet was really started for our community. It was to bring the underrepresented students so that we could celebrate their accomplishments. We're going to be doing a couple different things this year. We'll be giving out scholarships to students not just for tuition benefits, but also so that they can have some high impact and experiential opportunities. The students will be able to apply for scholarships for national conferences that might help with their careers. They'll also be able to apply for study abroad scholarships and scholarships for mission trips or service opportunities. A lot of times students really do pick up a lot of what they learn outside of the classroom, and we are able to provide them with opportunities to explore their identities.
My name is Aviva Aguilar. I'm a fifth-year senior and I'm getting a biology degree.
My name is Chelsea Bryant. I'm a sophomore and I'm majoring in computer science.
My name is Evan Ingram. I am a CWRU alumni and a first-year master's student in medical physiology.
One of the activities I'm involved with has been Voices, and this is sort of a roundtable of women of color, and we all sort of get together, talk about our experience at Case Western, and put on events and activities for women in the Cleveland community, and it's just a very empowering group.
I'm in the African American Society. We have several events such as Ebony Ball and Cultural Dinner, where we allow students to see our culture and try our different foods.
One of the activities that I've been involved with the Office of Multicultural Affairs was the Food for the Soul event. What we did is bring in a local soul food caterer and had students, staff, and faculty read poetry or words from Martin Luther King or things that are just kind of related to the topic. It's kind of a place for open expression.
Even though I may not be familiar with something, I feel more comfortable going to events that I may not feel like I belong in, but they make me feel comfortable and made me realize that it's not all about how you look, but just everyone's the same on the inside.
I think what's really helpful to us when we select the recipients for the scholarship is to really understand the full picture of what the student is facing.
We can't just go to school and study and get involved because we have to work, you know? That's not an option we have.
I worked on campus throughout all of my academic year.
Before, I was always worried about paying for school and then how I was able to afford it where I could possibly work later on during my free time.
We look for students to tell us what's going on with them, how the scholarship may help them.
With the scholarship, I don't have that constant worry about how am I going to afford it. I know that I can afford the school.
Instead of having to work as much, I was able to study for entrance exams for graduate school.
If you're a pre-med student, you start applying to medical school after your junior year, and receiving the scholarship allowed me to take the money that I would have been using towards tuition and stuff like that to place that towards applying to medical school.
I've been able to do clinical research and shadowing in the emergency department at university hospitals.
My first 2 years on the Springfest committee, I was a concerts co-chair, organizing the food, making sure the concert stuff's together, the booths, the attractions.
I volunteered at the Sideman Cancer Center, just serving coffee for patients waiting for chemotherapy.
My freshman year, I joined a fraternity. When I joined, it wasn't as much of a diverse group in terms of underrepresented minorities. Coming to this office, I was allowed to meet a lot of other students that would be interested in those things that I ended up recruiting and joining my fraternity. I think it was a pretty good way to bridge what I was doing outside and what I was doing here. And I think it also contributed a lot to my success and people's sense of campus unity.
A couple of students and I began bringing Camp Kasem. This is a camp for kids whose parents have cancer. We fundraised for 2 years and connected with other community partners.
I think when you donate to the Unity Banquet Scholarship, you're able to touch people's lives. I always think about our students as the seeds that we're planting today that we don't know what type of flower, what type of garden they're going to be. And maybe they'll be our next community council members, maybe they'll be senators, maybe they'll be the doctors that we take our children to one day.
May we bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this diverse gathering of students, staff, faculty, alumni, admitted students and their families, sponsors, and friends of Case Western Reserve University. We pause to invoke a moment of reflection on all of those who have gone on before us, for those on whose shoulders we stand, for those who prayed for us, encouraged us, engaged and struggled to make a difference with us, and offered support in large and small ways to our students. We are grateful for our students who are being recognized this evening at the 25th anniversary of the Unity Banquet. We are grateful for the work of OMA and those in the Division of Student Affairs for all of their effort in planning tonight's event. We are grateful for this opportunity to let our students know how much we truly appreciate them, their vision, their voices, and each of the unique stories they have to tell about their journeys. We know them to be dynamic scholars and leaders, change agents and social warriors. We know they have had important lessons in this classroom we call life, and we are grateful for the gift of sharing time and space with them. We know that the challenges of life on campus, in our communities, and in our world require that we speak truth to power, engage in the struggle for change, and find ways along the way to celebrate one another, take good care of ourselves, and intentionally seek ways to be a blessing to one another and the world we inhabit together. Bless us as we attempt to do the work required to be the change we want to see in the world. We are especially grateful for our guest artist, Javier Colon, and our guest speaker, Jeff Johnson. We ask a blessing for this meal, this time of breaking bread together, and this time for celebrating the achievements of our students. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this year's 25th Annual Unity Banquet. Please continue to enjoy your meal as we begin our program. I am Lacey Parham, and I am currently a sophomore studying psychology. I'm the upperclassmen representative of the African American Society and an executive member of Voices, a Women of Color collaborative. I am very excited to be the mistress of ceremonies for this wonderful event. I first attended Unity Banquet as a visiting prospective student during Diversity Weekend. This experience allowed me to meet so many wonderful people and witness the gathering of people of many different cultures. Unity Banquet was a great influence towards my attendance of this university. Having the ability to serve as the mistress of ceremonies allows me to help provide the experience to other students that brought me here to Case Western Reserve. I would like to now introduce Provost William Baslack of Case Western Reserve.
Thanks, Lacey. Well, on behalf of Case Western Reserve and certainly President Barbara Snyder, I would like to welcome you to the 25th Annual Unity Banquet and Scholarship Benefit. This is actually my 7th Unity Banquet, and actually this is, as you all know, this is the first one we were holding in our brand new University Center, so it's exciting to be here in this new facility tonight. I searched around and tried to find somebody who had been here for all 25 Unity Banquets. I've only found one person so far, and that's Dean Patterson. So Dean, why don't you stand up and get our recognition for having been here. If there's anybody else, please stand. But I really want to also acknowledge the students being honored tonight and our special guest, Jeff Johnson, who will give the keynote address here in a few moments, and Javier Colon, who shared his incredible music talents with us. You can see he truly has the voice. And I just want to, let's have another round of applause for Javier. Great job. Thank you very much. I also want to welcome our prospective students, many of who are with us this evening sitting in the back rows. This event tonight is really a great example of how this community would join with you and support and nurture you during your time at Case Western Reserve. So we hope you join us, and we look forward to seeing you back in the fall. The longevity of this event is really a tribute to all who have been involved and who have remained involved and committed to supporting and celebrating the accomplishments of underrepresented minority students here at Case Western Reserve. It's really also emblematic of the culture and values at Case Western Reserve that this event further serves as a fundraiser to support scholarships to assist our underrepresented minority students. In the first strategic plan under President Snyder about 2008, which was about the time that I also arrived about a year later, we really committed diversity as a core value of the university. Soon thereafter, we hired inaugural Vice President for Inclusion, Diversity, and Equal Opportunity, Dr. Marilyn Mobley. Dr. Marilyn Mobley is in her 7th year, you heard from her earlier, and is really one of the key leaders in promoting a culture of diversity throughout the university. I enjoy working very much with her as a partner in this upper administration. In addition to our Office of Inclusion, Diversity, and Equal Opportunity, of course, there are many other organizations and initiatives throughout the university that encourage ongoing conversations about race relations, the celebration of diversity, and the support of our underrepresented minority students. You'll hear from several of them this evening. Our Office of Multicultural Affairs, headed by Naomi Sig. Let's have a round of applause for Naomi for all the work she's put in this evening. I'm sure she'll get recognized a little later also. Certainly organizations, student cultural organizations such as the African American Society, Alianza Latina, faculty and staff resource groups such as the African American Campus Community Resource Group, and the Latino Alliance of Case Western Reserve. Again, thank you all for attending this evening, this special celebration, treasured tradition of Case Western Reserve, as we congratulate and recognize our student award winners and many of those who will continue to be with us. To those of you who are graduating seniors, we wish you well in your new endeavors and want you to know that the time you spent as a student here will have a lasting impact, not only on you, but also as us as a university. So thank you very much.
We will now have Mr. Carlin Jackson present the senior reflection. Carlin Jackson can always be found in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, socializing and having a good time with his peers. Carlin's presence is always inviting and friendly, and he will be truly missed. Please help me welcome a wonderful class of 2015 graduate, Mr. Carlin Jackson.
President Snyder, University Administration, faculty and staff, to distinguished guests, family and friends, and finally, to all my graduate and undergraduate peers, good evening. Again, my name is Carlin Jackson. I am a Lewis Stokes Scholar here at Case Western, where I'm majoring in computer science and have minors in finance, management, and math. You know, I am extremely grateful to the Office of Multicultural Affairs for this opportunity to share the senior reflection. Like Lacey, I too first came as a prospective student, and it really had a strong impact on my later decision to attend the university. So I really love this event. So to Ome, I say thank you. Let me tell you a story. 4 years ago around this time, I was a senior at Cleveland Heights High School, and I had just signed up to give the graduation speech. Both my siblings had actually delivered theirs, and I felt, it's my right, or it's my duty to, follow in their good footsteps and, do the same. So after those last few weeks of the academic year, in the midst of senior activities and my senior project, I was, working very furiously on getting the speech together. Now, I must admit that my parents probably spent even more time proofing it, but that's another story. So, I get to the day of the graduation. Now, at this point, I'm very, very nervous. Most people don't believe me when I say that I used to be extremely shy, and in certain contexts, I still am. Of course, over the years, I've been able to gain confidence in myself and my ability to speak publicly, but at that moment, that was, and probably still is, the largest venue I'd ever spoken at. It's the State Theater at Playhouse Square. So that meant over 3,000 of my peers' family, friends, and the community was there. And so during the program, I'm counting down in my head, okay, it's ready to speak, call my name, I walk up there, and I begin. With each word I speak, each page I turn, I'm gaining confidence in myself, my ability to, elocute. And then I get to the end of the second to last page. I turn it, and I see that my last page is not there. At this point, I was floored. I cannot adequately express the fullness, the depth of the fear I felt in that split moment. But you know what? Something inside me gave me the strength and courage to finish the speech. And, I look back at the video sometimes, and what I was able to do was I was able to concisely express the essence of that last page. I mean, to my standards, it wasn't perfect, but it was sufficient. For many months after that, I felt really horrible about it, I was like, I can't believe this. Like, I had this nice ending written up, and actually now I always carry my speeches in triplicate just to make sure that I have everything. But now I view the situation a bit differently. And I was kind of thinking about what I want to say about that, but I think that in many aspects of life, what matters most is not so much how you finish, but that you finish. Now, I must say, consideration must always be given to how you go about things, because sometimes that might make the difference between gaining one's respect and losing it. But how many of you heard the saying that the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to the one that endures into the end? So when I look back and reflect on the past 4 years, I ask myself, have I endured? Some will say yes, in a month you'll receive your diploma, yay. But for me, that the diploma was never the ultimate goal. Yes, it was, one of my chief concerns. Without it, it would mean that, the 4 years haven't achieved the primary reason for being here. But let me take a moment to, thank my parents, the rich legacy of the family by my grandparents who are also here in attendance, that they taught me that the measure of man is neither material gain nor secular success, but the convictions of your heart and your dedication to service. So for me, I ask myself again, with that in mind, have I endured? Have I held true to the desires and the dreams I first dreamt when I matriculated to this, distinguished institution? And my answer is still yes. And let me explain why. So before I started here, I wanted to develop, myself as a leader. So I worked over time and became, and I'll still serve as the president of the Commuter Student Association and as the chairman of Compass, an undergraduate student government ad hoc committee. My tenure has not been perfect. There's been, many bumps along the way as I've grown and learned. But those experiences have allowed me to sustain communication with numerous university VPs, serve on committees with the provost and our vice provost, and to become and maintain a strong relationship with our university president. I consider this to be experiential learning at its best. And so in that regard, I feel like I have endured. Before I started here, I wanted to explore entrepreneurship, which aligns perfectly with the university model to think beyond the impossible. So over time, I ingratiated myself with the Blackstone Launchpad program through our wonderful Career Center, and then also went on to earn 2 minors at Weatherhead in pursuit of this goal. These resources further, gave me the opportunity to provide technical consultation to many, aspiring entrepreneurs in the city and region. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. And finally, to support this burning passion of entrepreneurship, I actually applied to and was accepted to our MS Finance, program here at the business school. So that's why I'll be in the fall. So I say I have endured. And finally, before I started here, I wanted to be a counterexample. I find it fitting that as we celebrate the 25th annual Unity Banquet, America celebrates the 150th anniversary of our Civil War. Both represent the fact that when we as a people are united, we can reach greater heights and we can explore greater depths than possible. So while society has certainly grown and begun to heal from our history, as an African-American man in 2015, I say there's still a lot that can be done. Now, this is something I gave a lot of thought to, over the past 4 years, understanding who I am and the role I function in society. And I decided that at least as an academic at this university, I could be a counterexample to the many stereotypes that abound by me. And let me just give you one small example. Who had thought that I could serve as a TA in the computer science department for 2 years and now be responsible for lecturing weekly to a class of over 80 students? Just a small example. So to that, I say that I have endured. I have endured to the end without sacrificing my dedication to God, to my family, and to the excellence of this institution. So as many of us approach graduation and begin the transition into different phases of our life, my final question of the night is, will we continue to endure? I believe that answer is yes. It may not be tomorrow or the next day, but I am convicted that at some point, each and every one of your answers to this question will be yes. Case Western Reserve, I see us in our future. We are stronger. We are wiser. Our goals are accomplished. Our dreams realized because we endure. Thank you.
I love that speech, and one of the things I love about that speech is that Carlin is just one of the students we're here to celebrate tonight. My name's Randy Blackford, and it's been my privilege and honor to work in the Office of Multicultural Affairs for the past 7 years. It's my 7th Unity Banquet, but yes, as Bud said, it's our first one in this location. We're excited to be here. I hope you're excited to be here. Yes? A little bit? I'll give you another chance to clap in just a second. I'd like all our students who are our current students who we're celebrating tonight, please just take your napkins off, put down your fork, stand up so we can recognize you. This is why we're here, and this is why I'm here at Case. Because the love, the passion that I have in working with our students, I'm excited about it. It's going to be my privilege to introduce some of the seniors and some of those with academic achievement.
My name is Amariah Israel. I'm the department coordinator in OMA and also in the LGBT Center. And I'm excited to share in the celebration with all of you this evening. I would like to invite Dr. Marilyn Sanders Mobley to the stage to receive students who are receiving recognition tonight. Students, as you reach the stage, and please come up and receive your award.
So it's my privilege now to recognize our graduating seniors. And some of these seniors have academic achievement awards as well, and I'll be reading that. So please, will Aviva Aguilar join us at the stage? Aviva is graduating with a 3.0 or a higher GPA. Yeah, please feel free to clap between these names. Philip Akambi is also graduating with a 3.0 or above. Hiram Cortez. Other side. Hiram Cortez is also graduating, as he says, 3.0 or above as well. Thank you, Hiram. Destiny Henton, please come to the stage. Another one of our graduating seniors with 3.0 or above. And after H comes J. Carlin Jackson, 3.0 or above. This way. Elizabeth Jordan, 3.0 and above. Uchenna Osigbu. And she's here. Amber Strickland, one of our graduating seniors with 3.5 or higher GPA. And our final senior who is here tonight that we're recognizing is Samuel Tate. Sam, please come on up.
The next group of students are students who are receiving academic honors for having a 3.0 to 3.49. Diana Acosta. Nanifia Mensa. Ganiru Anuniki. Freddie Arce. Tanya Arizmendi. Moody Benet. Anise Bowman. Gabrielle Buffington. Monica Flanagan. Kenise Gray. Jayla Hubbard. Taylor Jaffrion. India Johnson. Candace McLeod. Daria Menendez. Kenya Moyers. Xavier Murillo. Lacey Parham. Destiny Powell. Elizabeth Reyes. Nichelle Ruffin. Brianna Seeley. Alejandra Soto. Julani Thomas. Lanice Thomas. Morgan Williams. Jayshu Withy. That is all for you.
One of the things that our seniors will be taking home, we gave them a little scroll, and they're like, okay, this is what I got. I graduated, and all I got was a little scroll. We're actually giving them these Case Western Reserve bags that we made for them, for their future studies and lifelong learning. Okay, my final privilege is to read the 3.5 and up academic honors. The first name, Precious Amueko. Braisha Atchison Henderson. Christina Bowdry. I know they're coming. Chelsea Bryant. You might recognize Chelsea as one of the people in the video. She was really happy with that one. Marvin Cantave. Jean-Pierre Castillo. Jose Alberto Gonzalez Campos. Natalie Doe. All right. Victoria L. Hayek. It's nice to have a nice long list of 3.5 and up. Toria Foster. Daniel Franco. Christopher Holloway. Jalea Hubbard. There, Jalea, here we go. Jessica Lalonde. Daniel Mendez. Chinwoke Osigwe. Kelly Reeves. Rebecca Russell. Galilea Sanchez. Kevin Smith. Elizabeth Taylor. And Elsa Vera. Please give all our academic and seniors.
Good evening. No, you had dinner, so I need to make sure you're awake now. And I'm very proud to be the person here who's been to all of these Unity banquets. I started when I was 14. And I'm not old, just wonderfully seasoned. And I really want to thank Javier Colon again, because he was singing his life with his words, singing my life. So I felt like I was at home. Thank you, Javier. Okay. I took a quick pause to look around the room because they're going to let me give out scholarships and money tonight. But Naomi gets to keep the bucks. I get to keep the paper. But what makes me so proud of this event, because I look around this room and I see all of my brothers and sisters. And I think sometimes in our society we have people who say those words, but they don't live that life. That's very different. It's much easier to say words that sound like things, but to live to life when other people are most important and you serve them and you do what's in their best interest and not what's easiest for you is a very different thing. And I think sometimes the words come out very easy, but the work is very hard. So the students who are getting these scholarships tonight, I'm so grateful for because they've been my best teachers. They've taught me. Because I'm a server. I don't do what's easiest for me, but in the best interest of the people I serve. And I wouldn't change a thing because every one of them is worth it. So these scholarships, which are so important, it allows our students to focus on their academics, and oftentimes the financial concerns of students can overpower and overshadow their ability to perform, to graduate, to think about their classes. And I think sometimes we assume that everyone here just can afford to be here. So every one of these scholarships helps the student move on, move forward, maybe takes away a little bit of the stress of thinking about financial concerns. And I say this being a double alumnus of this institution. I lived it. I worked 2 jobs all the way through college. So I know it's not easy, but I knew I was worth it, just like of all these students tonight and everyone in this room. I don't think we say that enough. And I don't think we live it in a way to make sure people know we mean it. Since 2005, we've given out over $100,000 in scholarships from this Unity Banquet. So I look at Naomi because she's keeping it going. She's probably one of the most humble people you will find, but doing all the work. And I say this to her all the time. So I'm going to give her a round of applause right now. I don't want to wait to the end. So I want to thank all of you here tonight, because we couldn't do this without you. It's like taking care of family. Family that we didn't always think about necessarily as family, but we're all family. And our society doesn't teach us that. That's not how they teach us to live. But we can change to choose that. But that means living something that's much harder to live, and others are most important. So I say that to you tonight. I challenge you, when you say those words, live it. And I want to see you can look in the mirror and say, I actually did that today. Because that means taking risks, doing things that other people who may think they're a part of you, that think, why are you helping them? There's no them, there's us. And we need to think that way. Now to the scholarships. Well, our first scholarships go to our graduate students, which I love. That was something new that we started not too long ago. But they're mentors of our undergraduate students, and again, my other best teachers. The first $1,000 scholarship goes to Ashley Sowers. I knew Ashley was coming. Money, come on, you're important, you're special, you did this. Thank you, Ashley. Our second graduate student award goes to Cindy Martinez Rodas. Thank you, Cindy. Our next $1,000 scholarship goes to someone I've known for a while. I saw a YouTube video today of him in a movie. Amani Scruggs. Thank you, Amani.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Taught me a lot. Now, we're going to go to undergraduate study abroad scholarships. The first $1,500 scholarship goes to Candace McLeod. It's okay to smile, Candace. It's okay. And thank you. Our second one goes to Xavier Murillo, another $1,500 scholarship. We'll wait because you're worth it. Our next undergraduate scholarship goes to Demetrius Greer, $2,000. I love to watch the moves when they come up here. Thank you. Thank you, Demetrius. The next $2,000 scholarship goes to Andrew Torres. The next $1,000 scholarship goes to Amber Strickland. You can smile too, Amber. The next $1,000 scholarship goes to MC Perrin. Now, MC Perrin can't be here tonight because MC is directing one of our plays in Eldridge Theater. So MC can't be here. But MC would be very happy to get this award. The next $500 scholarship goes to Kenya Coleman. We'll save it for you, Kenya. And the last scholarship, but nowhere near the least, goes to Christopher Holloway, $500. Now, I want to make sure all of our scholarship recipients understand, don't leave here because we're going to do some group pictures at the end of the Unity Banquet tonight, so stay here. Don't run off with the money. You want to take your picture so everybody knows, okay? Well, I want to thank all of our scholarship recipients, but more, all of our students for being such great teachers of us. And I think sometimes students think they come here only to learn, but we have to be smart enough because they really come to teach us. And I think sometimes we forget that, and I try to remind them. So most of what I've learned since I've been here, having gone to school here, has been learned from students. So I want to thank them again tonight for teaching me so much, because without them, I wouldn't be here. So thank you all very much.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Rivera, and I'm very proud to be here tonight representing Alianza Latina, the Latino Alliance at Case Western Reserve, which is the employee resource group for Hispanics here at Case. It's a special honor to be here in order to bestow upon a very deserving senior the inaugural Alianza Latina Leadership Award. It's no exaggeration to say that the Latino faculty and staff at CWRU have been so impressed with Hiram Cortez that we literally invented this award to recognize his many accomplishments. You want to come up here and be embarrassed while I talk about you, Hiram? Come on up. If you've met Hiram, you know that he is a force of nature. Upon meeting him, you immediately know he is bright, he is enthusiastic, and he is charming. What you may not know is that Hiram was born in Mexico and moved to Texas as a school child. A natural-born leader, he became the president of his student government in high school and was a member of the National Honor Society. Hiram came to CWRU in order to study engineering. But once he got here, he discovered a different passion for serving others. And he subsequently switched to economics and political science because he felt this course of study would better enable him to advocate for his community after graduation. Latino students on campus know that under Hiram's direction, the student group, La Alianza, has grown dramatically over the last 2 years, both in terms of size and visibility. You can say woo, woo! Hiram's energy, work ethic, and charisma are a huge part of that. A first-year student at CWRU recently said of Hiram, "The way he leads makes you want to be a part of his group." I cannot think of a more fitting way to sum up the essence of great leadership. And with that, it's my great pleasure to present this Leadership Excellence Award to Hiram Cortez. It says, Alianza Latina Latino Alliance of CWRU proudly presents the Leadership Excellence Award to Iram Cortez for his exemplary leadership on behalf of the Latino community at CWRU and in Cleveland, Ohio.
Well,
congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's such a surprise, so I don't know what to say, but, well, thank you. Thank you. I was thinking that for a while I've been wanting to have an opportunity to be able to thank all the faculty, all the staff, and all the departments, all the administrators for helping the La Alianza, the Latino student group. I think that, we've put work into it, but really we can't do anything if we don't have support of the entire university. So thank you for the award, and more importantly, I think thank you for all the support that you have all given to our group, and in particular OMA, Vice President Lou Stark, everybody, the provost. Well, I'll go on and on naming everybody, right? It's Dr. Mobley, everybody. And definitely the faculty and staff group, the Latino faculty and staff group. Thank you very much. And I'm so excited for Hispanic Heritage Month. We're planning that right now, and I hope it's a great celebration now. Try to come back. Thank you.
Good evening. How's everyone? My name is Alfie Walter, and I am the Director of Diversity and Corporate Relations under the leadership of Dr. Marilyn Mobley, our Vice President for Inclusion, Diversity, and Equal Opportunity. I am also the chair of the African American Campus Community Resource Group, and Dr. David Miller is also a part of the leadership team. I know he was here, perhaps. There he is. Please stand up, Dr. Miller. And Bridget Chapman as well, and Bridget is working hard, so she's probably running around. At any rate, I will get straight to the point. The African American Campus Community Resource Group, along with Alianza, was one of the first employee resource groups established under the auspices of the Diversity Strategic Action Plan. These groups were created to not only foster relationships among members of the respective ethnic groups, but to also offer opportunities to promote employee development and advancement through workforce diversity, to also promote an increased awareness and visibility of diversity issues across campus, and develop initiatives to retain and recruit talented, diverse workers. While the African American Campus Community Resource Group is focused on issues impacting African American employees, faculty, staff, and students, the organization is open to any Case Western Reserve University employee, regardless of their race or ethnicity. This year has been one of great opportunity, especially as it relates to our students. Dr. Mobley says all the time, they are wonderful, ambitious scholar activists. We are thrilled this evening to honor one of those students. We are thrilled to bestow this honor upon Miss Destiny Hinton. Please come up and accept this award. Destiny, who is no stranger to the news, has had a banner year on her way to earning her degrees, plural, I believe. In addition to her studies, she has been working at our Women's Center, and she's also been our very own Shirley Chisholm. Destiny is a dynamic student leader who will go on to do great things in this world. Congratulations, Destiny, and we are so proud to present you this award.
Well, thank you all so much. It's exciting to be here. And first, I just want to say thank you to the people that have supported me. I know, Hiram, you talk about it, but we have so much support in this room. But special thanks to Shannon Lundeen. That's my boss, my lady, my girl.
And of course, Dr. Mobley, Dr. Rhonda isn't here, and Naomi. Thank you all so much. It's so important to have women that are in front of me, leading me, guiding me, keeping me sane, and all of that. So thank you all so much. But this year has certainly been so important to the African American Society and to our campus. We've been able to do amazing things because everyone is involved and everybody is ready to see change. And I'm so excited to be a part of that change. So thank you all. Okay. What? Okay. So I want to act like I didn't know that was happening and start all the way over. Good evening, everyone. My name, again, is Destiny Hinton, and I'm a fourth-year political science major here, and I've had the privilege of serving as president of the African American Society this past year. Before I go on, I want to just make sure I shout out my exec board. If y'all can stand up, they put in so much work. They always have my back. Thank you all so much. They're over in the back of the room and up here. Thank you all so much. But this year, like I said, has certainly been an amazing journey for the African American Society. With the initiation of the We Belong Here movement, we sparked a dialogue on campus on race and on identity that has not subsided and will not subside, obviously. We attribute our success to our amazing members who are filling this room right now, who have fearlessly taken on leadership roles to improve our campus. Fortunately, through Afro-AM's fundraising efforts and the moral and financial support from President Snyder, she isn't here tonight, but special thanks to her, we are able to award a member of our organization for their involvement this year, their forward thinking, and dedication to our mission of cultural awareness, education, and community engagement. This year, we've chosen someone willing to continue their commitment to Afro-AM in years to come, but also to contribute an innovative perspective and also dedication to activism over the next couple years. This evening, I would like to present the African American Society Scholarship Award to India Johnson. Sorry, y'all.
Hello, everyone, again. Congratulations, India. I'm so very proud of you. So I'm going to wing it. Lost my notes. It's all good. So I am now going to introduce John Killings, who will be introducing our guest speaker. John is the, Assistant Director of Student Advocacy and Programming in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, and also an advisor for African American Society. So I'll now have him step up and come introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Lacey. Good evening. As Lacey said, I am John Killings. I am the Assistant Director for Student Advocacy and Programming in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. I've been here for about 5 months now, so it has been a great pleasure to be thrown right into the fire and to be able to be up here to introduce our speaker. Please forgive me, I am a little tired. I was up at 6:30 in the morning to take our students over to the University of Akron for our, their Black Male Summit, so forgive me for that if I fluster a little bit. But right to it. Jeff Johnson is an award-winning journalist, communication specialist, and thought leader who has established himself as an authentic voice for change and trailblazing social entrepreneur. Currently, Johnson is a partner and chief of strategy for the Baltimore-based branding firm Illume Communications. In this role, he provides strategic insight and messaging consulting to clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Johnson works with clients to develop strategy, solutions, and content that merge effective tradition with innovative methodology for purpose of the positive transformative change and market impact. He has a gift of creating non-traditional partnerships and progressive ecosystems by utilizing meaningful relationships developed in the entertainment, nonprofit, and government sectors. Johnson formerly served as a director for the Youth and College Division of the NAACP and is the CEO and co-founder of Elite Voices Speakers. He regularly contributes commentary and analysis about issues related to race, politics, popular culture, and social economics for news, broadcasts, and publications. Johnson is a regular contributor to TheRoot.com and the nationally syndicated Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Jeff Johnson.
Thank you, John. Good evening. That was terrible. Good evening. One more time. Good evening. Y'all have to have more energy because it's 9 o'clock and I'm just getting up here, and not for the benediction. So it is an honor and a privilege to be here. I am thankful for the invitation to the provost, to all those that are part of this great faculty and staff, to those that are part of the broader community, to those young people that have been honored and inspired me this evening, all in protocol and all I don't know to call. What's up? I am dealing with some serious emotion because on one end, I am excited about what I've seen from the students that have come forward and the stories that have been told and the work that you all are doing and how you are pressing to ensure that this campus continues to push in the direction that it needs to as it relates to diversity and inclusion. But if I'm going to be honest, my remarks come from a different place because a little over 25 years ago, I became an honorary alumnus of Case Western Reserve University, not through some formal process. You didn't miss anything. My father received his MBA from Case. And if I am going to do what I need to do, I want to give my brief remarks through the lens of what I learned from my father's learning here. And it's important for me to be very clear because oftentimes people invite me to come to these kind of events, especially on college campuses, and they do so through the lens of the journalism work that I've done or the consultant work that I've done, but they don't know that I was a campus leader. Because if they did, normally they wouldn't invite me. I was a Black Student Union president at the University of Toledo and the only person of color that's ever been president of student government at the University of Toledo, and we did that by being aggressive and scary. And when we talk about diversity and inclusion, oftentimes we're not scary enough. Because at institutions like this one that has done a legitimate job to be able to ensure that diversity and inclusion is part of the discourse of the institution, oftentimes 25 years later, we get lazy because of how successful we've been. And we celebrate and we come to these kind of dinners and we talk about who's been here for 25 years and we lift up how many years that we've come and we talk about the scholarships that we've given out and we highlight the brilliant students that we have at this institution. But how long do those students need to be underrepresented? And as an institution, are we prepared to be able to say that by this year, by this decade, by this point in time, we need to ensure that these groups of students are no longer underrepresented? Otherwise, what is the litmus or the metrics for the job that we've done in diversity versus talking about it? Some of you are already uncomfortable. So what did I learn from my dad so I can get out of your way? I watched my dad, and I remember being a student at Wiley Middle School when my father was here. And my parents, who were divorced, had an unbelievably great working relationship and an incredible joint custody process. And so my dad was a straight up dad. And I remember him making, because when you got two boys, even when they're almost teenagers, you know they don't do what they're supposed to do. And so I remember him getting us up in the morning, making sure we were prepared to school, getting us to school, making sure that we called him when we got home, making sure that we were doing our homework. He came home from work, ensured that we had dinner, left to go to his night classes to get his MBA here at Case, came home, made sure we had done our homework, checking our homework, and then began to do his own study before he prepared to do it all over again. And so what I learned as my father was going going through his MBA process was that if we are going to be more successful than we have previously been, we have to stretch ourselves. And so the question for Case Western Reserve is, how will you stretch yourself in the next 12 to 24 months in order to get further in the next 25 years than you have in the previous? And the only way to do that is to begin to have conversations that aren't comfortable. Hello? Because the reality is, in most institutions, we know that diversity and inclusion are buzzwords, and normally they are part of a line item that ensures that institutions are able to effectively recruit students by saying, this is a great place to be. See, we've got 5 of them, and we've got 3 of them, and we've got 4 of them, and we even have 1 of them. And I've seen the website, so I already know. Y'all know the brochure, where you got like the black person, the Latino person, and then the ethnically ambiguous person all sitting around campus in a conversation. And it's like, and you know it's fun because diversity. But you come to the campus and oftentimes you don't see that conversation happening. And you don't see that conversation happening oftentimes because the institutions like Case Western Reserve have been brilliant at ensuring that diversity is part of the DNA and even beginning to create inclusion as a part of the narrative. But diversity and inclusion are only the first step, and community is the goal. Because community is hard. Diversity is actually pretty easy. We just have to make sure that we understand that we got to check a couple of boxes and we're clear about what the priority of those boxes are, so that we're clear with the admissions office where are we doing targeted admission to be able to ensure that we have the ability to keep being diverse. But creating community means that when those students come to the campus, that they don't feel isolated. When the students come to the campus, that they don't feel like they have to have an Office of Multicultural Affairs in order to see. I'll never forget being at the NAACP, and the job that we thought at the NAACP is that we should be working to make ourselves irrelevant. And by working to make ourselves irrelevant, that means that we're creating equity in a way that no longer is the NAACP necessary. As long as you have an Office of Multicultural Affairs, you haven't done enough. I'm from Cleveland, so I don't know how to do nothing but keep it real. That's not an indictment against you as an institution. It's the opportunity. It's not saying that you are a terrible institution. It's saying, how do we find the new spaces to be able to do things we've never done before? How do we stretch ourselves in a way? How do we have the conversations that hurt? How do we have the conversations that hurt people's feelings who need to have their feelings hurt because we understand that they have not truly embraced diversity, inclusion, and community as a core value of the institution, only as a programmatic initiative? How do we stretch ourselves by making the development of community part of our strategic plan the same way we do acquisition of property? That's part of the strategic plan, right? You're expanding as an institution, you're acquiring property in order to ensure that the institution can build new infrastructure and expand, and thus ensure that your capacity grows to be able to make sure you can get more students and thus more resources and do the job that you've trained to do to be able to prepare young people to go out into a global economy and be able to kill it, right? You need more stuff to do that. And so we're not pretending like we're not acquiring new land, right? Jesus. I know it's late, but it ain't that late. How will you stretch yourselves? Because I watched Dad. I learned work ethic from his time here because it wasn't normal, because I didn't see other fathers doing that, because I didn't understand what it meant to be able to say, I know that I was called to something so great that my current academic standing isn't enough. And I've got to be able to go back to school to be able to get this MBA, because an African-American man in corporate America in the city of Cleveland would say, no matter how brilliant I am, if I have not been certified by this institution that says that I know these certain tools and theories, ways that I can't work in other places with my white counterparts. He understood that, and I saw him put his blood, sweat, and tears into not just receiving a degree, but understanding that coming out of Case created the opportunity for him to build a bridge from where he was to where his promise was. And the question is, what are the bridges that you all are prepared to build in the process of proving that your diversity and inclusion is able to go beyond what you've done in the last 25 years? Because for me, as a kid growing up in Cleveland, Case Western Reserve was almost like that special toy that you couldn't really play with all the time, but it was there. Because I knew Case was in Cleveland, but I didn't really know anything about Case. Because I felt like Case was this jewel within the city that nobody from the city had access to. And so true diversity and inclusion and community as it relates to Case, if you're going to be aggressive in expanding the vision of what you want to do over the next 25 years versus the previous, has to include a community called Cleveland that's not always shiny and clean, that's not always intellectual, that's rough, that doesn't always understand what happens at Case, but actually has the potential of adding value to the preparedness of your students, that they would be able to compete in a global economy by being prepared in a city that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But if you protect them and shield them from the community, then you're denying them of an academic and intellectual process that prepares them to be able to go anywhere in the world and do things in the name of Case Western Reserve instead of in spite of Case Western Reserve. There is a community here that is dying to connect with you. There are young people at high schools that if they knew where Case was and they knew immediately in early stages what the stipulations of admissions were, would have a level of motivation to be able to say, wait a minute, I know that I can get into Case. I know that I can prepare. I met students from there. They came back to my middle school. They created a pipeline program. They created a mentorship program. There was formal connectivity as opposed to sometimes just programs of some of your student organizations versus formal programs that are being expanded from not just admissions, but from some of the colleges themselves to ensure a different pipeline so that when you begin to create visions of when will this student population no longer be an underserved student population, the only way you do that is by developing the pipelines that ensure not just from the elite places that have populated students to the institution for the last 15 years, but where are the places that you've never gotten students from before, where there are young people that are thirsty, that are brilliant, that are academically sound, that are actually prepared, who would love to be in this institution if somebody would just go find them and talk to them. Where are the bridges that you will build with corporations in this city or with museums in this city that you have not done before? I'm not confused that Case Western Reserve is a premier institution in this city and that you all have the ability and have created robust relationships with corporations and nonprofit organizations and leaders in this city before. But the question is, what are the ones that you haven't? And the ones that just don't seem to make sense because they're difficult. But if you begin to connect them to your strategy of diversity and inclusion, there is a market-driven return on investment, not just a moral one. Because gone are the days, in my opinion, when diversity and inclusion should be just a moral proposition that we do because it's right. No, there's market-driven value to ensuring the advancement of your diverse population. There's proof and there's data to show that the more diverse our institutions are, the more profitable they are. The more diverse they are, the more that diverse population goes out into the world and represents your institution in a way that serves as an example example of what can happen at this institution, and thus is a recruiting tool just in their mobilization of their own careers. How will you build bridges over the next 25 years in ways that you haven't in the previous? Because as I take my seat, yeah, it's late. My father passed about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago in 2 weeks, after having 4th stage cancer for 7 years. He was a G. I learned more about life watching him live with cancer than any other lesson that I've ever been taught by anyone, anywhere, anytime. And so I don't have any sorrow when I talk about my father, because I understand that he sucked every single ounce out of life possible. But when he was really sick, he sat my children down in the living room, and without this morbid kind of acknowledgement of his condition, because he was constantly fighting, he told them that he had something that he wanted to give them. And he gave them his University of Maryland College Park diploma, and he gave my daughter his Case Western Reserve diploma. And my daughter, who will be 16 on May 2nd, which is actually the day that my father passed, said to me 3 days ago, she said, "Dad, I'm more convinced than ever that no matter what I want to do, I want to be a scholar." Now, normally that's the setup for her to say something semi-intellectual to get something. I said, "Baby, what are you talking about?" She said, "I woke up and I could feel Grandpa's presence." And she said, "Every single time I look at that degree on my wall, I'm reminded of what I can do because of what Grandpa did." And see, the beauty of this is, had Case Western Reserve not been in a place where diversity was a priority and my father was able to have resources to be able to receive his MBA from this place, perhaps my daughter would be lacking just one of the pieces of inspiration that she uses on a daily basis to push herself to manifest her own destiny. And in a world where African American men and women are still dealing with the reality of white supremacy, even as they attempt to combat it with black excellence, their every single ounce of motivation is necessary. And so I give thanks to Case Western Reserve, more importantly to my father, for utilizing Case as a tool to be able to navigate his own professional opportunities. But the real issue is, whose legacy are you prepared to be a part of as a result of your advancement of diversity and inclusion in community? Because you don't know whose granddaughter is waiting to see a degree on the wall. You don't know whose child is waiting to see their mother who graduated from Case. You can't imagine who's waiting to see their grandfather who got a PhD from Case. And the fact that that hangs in the house of a Latino student or an Asian student or an African American student says to a family what's possible in the midst of a world that's constantly trying to tell them what's not. And so I want to be very clear with you. I don't in any way, shape, or form care if you like my speech. No, I'm for real. Not even a little bit. 'Cause I'm not here for that. This is an amazing institution with an incredible history, but you're still going to be judged by what you do next. And if the entire world is moving to do more than just talk about diversity and inclusion in a way that's not about trying to make people clear, because that's some nonsense. This is not a time where we need to make people comfortable by saying that we're all the same and we should just be blind to color and difference, because the reality is the difference is what gives us the seasoning. We should be a little more hip-hop sometimes and a little less institutional. Some of y'all are concerned with that analogy. You say, let me quantify that. Yes, sir. And make that clear. I did some work in Baltimore with some young people around conflict resolution and using hip-hop as a tool to address their frustration and anger. And so young brothers who had been fighting each other in their little block crews were now using hip-hop to battle each other as a constructive way to utilize and to harness, rather, their aggression without having them go to blows. And I had met a brother in South Africa who had happened to be in the States at the time. And Bill was a typical township boy who had had some relationships with some foundation people, and they brought him over to the States, and he was in Baltimore. And we asked him to come be part of the cipher because he was really part of this hip hop community in Soweto. And the boys who were in his cipher started slamming him. You know, these are 13, 14, 15-year-old kids that never left the east side or west side of Baltimore. So they don't know nothing. So every single solitary possible negative stereotype of what ignorant people think Africa is, they were saying in their rhymes. So they calling him an African booty scratcher. They talking about you got lions in your backyard. They talking about his hair. They're talking about his clothes. They're clowning him. Every single one of the five dudes in the cipher. One after the other, after the other, after the other. And I'm sitting there because I'm waiting. Because when he begins to rhyme, he rhymes 16 bars telling them about how he is their lost brother that they don't know how to accept. Then he spits 16 in Zulu. Then he spits 16 in Swahili, destroying them. Then he spits 16 in English, explaining to them what he said in Zulu and Swahili. And then they died. It was over. The cipher was over. And so we brought all these brothers back together, and we have a post-mortem where all the brothers begin to talk about what happened in their cipher and who said what and what they felt about it. And the brothers in this cipher was like, yo, our cipher was better than anybody else's. And they believed that their cipher was better than anybody else's because Ben was in it. And that is what community is about. It's about being able to show our ignorance so that in the process of showing our ignorance through transparency, that we can begin to create understanding and talk and share with each other in a way that we learn who each other are by embracing the very thing that makes you different and then understanding that that difference brings value to the community. They thought their cipher was better because Ben was in it. And nobody else had been. And they didn't try to make him some kid from Baltimore so they could pretend that they all got along because he was just some kid that just happened to get off a plane, but he was really from Baltimore. No, this was a kid from Soweto who talked different, who moved different, who sounded different, who spoke different languages, who had a different experience, who didn't have on the same designer clothes. But at the end of the sharing experience was as much a part of the community because they embraced him for who they were, because he showed up with integrity. They challenged him with integrity. He embraced them with integrity. It wasn't comfortable in the beginning, but they moved through it and stretched themselves that they could build bridges, that the legacy of their cipher was that every single brother there was prepared to do something they had never done before. And so I don't care if you like what I have to say. The question is, what will you do different? What will you do tomorrow that you were afraid to do last week? What will you begin to strategize for the next quarter that just a year ago would have been unthinkable? How will you begin to make community the agenda and the priority and not just diversity and inclusion. Because next year at this time, one of the things that you should be talking about at this stage is metrics-based impact on what you've done versus simply handing out awards and scholarships. Because the community should be able to see. We recruited 15 more students here. We ensured that there was higher level of matriculation here. We made sure that there was a higher level of graduation rate amongst this population that traditionally has a lower graduation rate. We built bridges with this organization, and you know what? They're here right now. Hey, y'all from the city of Cleveland who never set foot on the campus of Case Western Reserve before, stand up. What is the metrics-based proof next year of you moving to a higher place? Because if you're not willing to do that, what is the point? I am unbelievably excited for these students in the room, for what you represent, for the promise that you represent, for the work that you've put in at this institution, for the ways that you've challenged it, for how this institution has supported you, and for what you will carry out into this world that needs legitimate leadership, not just those that can show up and talk, but those that can show up with pragmatic strategy to be able to create put in transformative methodology to ensure that there's legitimate change and not just people being inspired by what you have to say. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the investment you've made at this institution. Thank you for the hard nights that you've pushed through. Thank you for being that student leader when it don't make sense to be a student leader, because why would I go to all these meetings and do all this work when it's already got coursework that's insane? Student leaders are crazy. And the fact that you all are willing to do it over and over again inspires me so much. And so it is my honor and my privilege to be before you this evening. And my prayer is that you continue to grow because of the work that you put in and because of the willingness of this institution to go further than they ever have before. God bless you and good night.
Wow, Mr. Johnston, that was a very, very powerful presentation. It was amazing, very amazing. But before we end this wonderful event, I would like to thank the Office of Multicultural Affairs for allowing me to serve as this year's Mistress of Ceremonies. To my peers, I would like to remind you all to work together, support one another, and continue striving for excellence. And now we will have the Vice President of Student Affairs, Mr. Lou Starks, share the closing remarks for tonight. Please give him a round of applause.
Good, thank you, and thank you to everyone for being here tonight. What a great night. And this has been such a terrific event to support and celebrate our underrepresented students and their achievements at Case Western Reserve University. Case Western Reserve University students, especially the students that we have had the privilege to honor tonight, are some of the most committed students that I've had the opportunity to work with. Their commitment to creating a campus community, a real campus community, has been second to none, but encouraging the dialogue to make that community stronger has been what it's all about, and I'm grateful. I want to thank our speaker, Jeff Johnston, again. What a powerful speech. It just was terrific. And to Javier Colon for being with us and providing terrific music. Thank you. Now I'd like you to join me in thanking a group of folks that I have the privilege of working with on a daily basis, and I'm going to ask them to stand. And that's our absolutely incredible Office of Multicultural Affairs. Naomi Sig, Director, please stand. Randy Blackford, Assistant Director. Bridget Chapman, where's Bridget? Assistant Director. John Killing, Assistant Director, and Amariah Israel, Department Coordinator. Thank you all very, very, very much. They are an incredible group of folks. Congratulations as well, and much thanks to Carlin Jackson. That was just an absolutely terrific reflection. And to all the graduating seniors. Please stand, the graduating seniors. And last, I'm going to ask all our award winners tonight to please stand and once again let us say thank you. Now I'm going to ask that all the winners and presenters gather on the wooden steps in the atrium of the Tink for a group photo. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight and for celebrating with us.